Welcome everyone. This is round 2 of the Racedepartment GT Championship here at the Nurburgring circuit. My name, the one who's speaking to you, is not Dylan Coyle. I lied. My name is Lorenzo Bonder. The one who's in the cameras right now is Mr. Davey Vandeven, and I want to introduce you to our new member of the broadcast bunker team. He's the noob, but he's excited to do comms with us. Mr. Peter Lee, introduce yourself.
Hello, Lorenzo.
Well, very nicely well done, Mr. Peter Lee. Let's take you through the action here at the Nürburgring circuit. We are in qualifier right now, around 11 minutes to go still in this qualifying session. And I want to take you really quickly to the championship standings that happened in the first round at the circuit of Monza. Number 1, your team lead is the Finn team, composed this round with Tommy Veninen and Rami Matila. The 2 drivers in Monza are not present this round. The second team, number 2 in the standings, is Talking Door Racing. Number 3 is Speedy Mike Racing. Number 4, Redshift Racing. Number 5, 5th in the standings, S56 Design. 6th place is Flying Ballers. 7th place, DTK Racing. 8th place, Gainsco Racing. 9th place, Copenhagen Apex Racing. Number 10 is Stay Poof Racing. Good name though. Number 11 in the standings is Priority 1 Motorsport. Thank God I got the priority name right, otherwise I would stumble up in the words. 12th in the standings is Sky Speed Sports. 13th in the standings is STR Racing. And rounding out your bottom of the field is Team Oldman in the standings right now in this GT Championship. Peter, I gotta say, I'm really excited for this round, and for the times we've seen thus far, it's pretty much one-sided race thus far.
Yeah, it is looking that way. The Finn team are once again, as they were in Monza, at the top of the pile. However, we do have the Ferraris interfering with that. Speedy Mike Racing's Erhan Zhezhovsky is also near the top, so I think it could be an interesting race between the Audis and the Ferraris.
Most definitely. And I just want to quickly say that this track is highly technical, so speed doesn't matter much. Actually, the mobility of the car does matter in this track more than anything else. You have a good mobility to acceleration ratio instead of speed. And as we round out our field, well, we're going to take you inside a quick lap around the Nürburgring circuit with Rami Matila. He's doing right now the NGK chicane. Mr. Peter Lee, take it over.
Okay, so he's currently heading around the final corner. He's going to begin another hot lap. Accelerating now, he's going to accelerate all the way from 2nd gear all the way up to 6th gear. He's going to be hitting approximately 250 kilometers per hour by the time he gets down to the difficult downhill braking zone, down into the Yokohama curve, just 65 kilometers an hour in 1st gear. Very tight, very difficult on traction as well, and accelerating up to 3rd gear into the Mercedes arena, 115 kilometers an hour, and then up to 4th briefly before back down to 2nd gear for the turn 3, then back up the gears again out of turn 4 through the kink at turn 5 all the way down to Valvoline curve, turn 6, fast left-hander here, approximately 145 kilometers an hour before braking to 2nd gear for the Ford curve. Downhill acceleration here towards the bottom of the circuit, which is at the Dunlop curve, and from here he's going to be working uphill all the way back to the start and finish line. Braking very late, going slightly wide in, but he's going to cut it back for a late apex to get the best run up the hill towards Schumacher S. Approaching now turn 9 is the left-hander, 140 kilometers an hour before the right-hander at 200 kilometers an hour, and then up to 6th gear before the Kumho curve. Turn 11, 3rd gear, flicks it left, and then he's going to abort that lap in fact. So I'll hand you back to Lorenzo, but it looks very, very technical, this circuit, and I think we're going to have different cars that are going to be competitive here, maybe even the BMW, McLaren and the Lamborghini.
Yes, most definitely. I just want to apologize for this. treacherous move by Robbie Matila. I don't blame it one bit. It happens. It's part of racing. But once you go downhill, there's one downhill section and one uphill section. After the right-hander curve, you just go into a long straight downhill and uphill section before the engine gauge con, and you go into the last curve, as Peter mentioned. Right now, our top 10 with 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this qualified session is Robbie Matila, is still your first place in this race. Second place is Ern Jajovski of Speedy Might Racing, making a little bit of intrusion into that top two spot. Number 3 is Jepte Iare, his teammate. Very well done. Speedy Might 2-3 right now. Number 4 is Tommy Mannanen, still also from the Finn team. Number 5 is Jeffrey Tessenois from Talking Door Racing. He's one of the Nissans that might struggle in this track due to its lack of mobility and being heavier than the other cars. He's 5th place. 6th is another GT-R, Stelio Favgatos from State Poof team. Number 7th in the standings right now is Craig Patterson, the first of the McLarens from Priority 1 Motorsport. Number 8 is Akis Kavrakidis. He's a former BMW M235 I-Cup here in Racedepartment.com. One of really good Greek driver from State Poof team. He's an 8th. Number 9 is Ricardo Edelman from Redshift Racing. And Ronnie, your top 10 is Pierre Cavillon from S56 Design. He's in 10th place with the Lamborghini Huracan, just missing out on the Dunlop curve. Well, as we mentioned, as I mentioned previously in other broadcasts, I'm going to mention over and over again over here. If you're liking this broadcast thus far, if you want to keep yourself up to date with further events in Race Department, follow us on twitch.tv/Racedepartment. If you want to sign up as a reserve driver over here in the GT Championship, sign-ups are still open for reserve drivers. Go over to racedepartment.com, nab that premium membership. It's 10 euros. It's very cheap, believe me. It's well worth it. 10 euros per year. You can sign up and see if you can keep up with all these drivers. Well, Peter, still 5 minutes to go. What do you think is the key strategy in this track to grab a top spot?
Well, I think the key strategy here is to keep it clean. We saw in Monza how a number of drivers were struggling both 4 wheels on the road, and I think that is going to be the first priority for all these drivers. And we've just seen, and also another priority is going to be grid position. Overtaking here, it's fast track here at the Nürburgring, and I think that is going to be very difficult to overtake. And we've seen that both Vintry drivers once again got to the top of the pile, with Marcela leading Mannanen.
Yes, Rami Matla and Tommy Mannanen are your 1-2 Finn team once again, showing that furiosity of the Audi, that good balance between speed, mobility in the curves, and that downforce being worked on. And as said, this is a high downforce track, and one of the key things here, as Peter perfectly mentioned, overtaking here in this track is not very easy to do, as you only have a few spots. You have probably the arena as one of the spots, the four curve, on the downhill side, maybe Dunlop, Michael Schumacher, or the Schumacher S. This is an overtaking point, but it's not very well, what would be the better word to say, advised for you to do that move. And then the final curve in this track, if you manage to keep yourself clean through the engine gate. The engine gate is not a passing point, believe me. If you try to pass it over there, it's an easy incident, and you might get penalized down the line. Well, 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this session. Drivers are still doing their final laps. Well, Peter, have you ever had the chance to try a few laps in this track?
Yes, I did do a few laps, and I have to say it's very difficult. It looks a lot simpler on paper than it is in reality. There's a lot of off-camber turns, and there's lots of difficult braking zones, especially into turn 1. It's very deceptive. You think you can brake a lot later than you can, and I think that is going to be one of the keys to staying clean, is just being a bit conservative in the opening laps and building up that pace to somewhere where the driver feels comfortable.
And what about your pace?
My pace is pretty poor around here. I was struggling to get under 2 minutes, so I congratulate these drivers for being able to sustain this pace and sustain it throughout the race, which we will see.
Oh, very well done. Well, it's one of the hardest things over here is to be a very fast driver around this track. When they told me drivers were doing 154, I couldn't believe it. Well, it's doable. I'm gonna have to brag a little bit. I did it in iRacing, but iRacing and said, of course, are two different games, two different physics, and they're doing 153, which is just as amazing as I predicted. Just my pace around this track, it's really not the greatest. I'll probably it would be in the mid pack with I tried with the AMG, which is not my car. My car is the Nissan GT-R, but well. Now we're on the final minute. Just quickly telling you all viewers, once this is done, we're gonna take a 1 minute break, and we will be right back with the racing action for you all here at the Racedepartment GT Championship. Well, do you got any final comments, Mr. Peter Lee?
Well, I think looking at this, it's going to be a Fin Team 1-2. I'm very excited about the battle that could commence, though, between the Audis at the top and the Ferraris. I think that could be a very interesting battle. But other than that, I think the rest of the field is going to be very interesting as well. We saw in Monza how the midfield battles were ferocious throughout the race, so I think that is going to be key.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with your statement. Well, we're 10 seconds to go in this qualifying session. It seems like no one is going to beat the Audis once again. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and time is out here in qualify. We're going to take a 1 minute break. And all right, and we're back at the Racedepartment GT Championship here in Nürburgring. We are counting down our race time. We're at least 1 minute and 20 seconds away from race start. Well, my name is Lorenzo Bonder. The one in the camera is Mason Davey Van, and with me is Peter Lee.
Hello.
Well, Peter, we're rounding out our field right now. Our top 10. It's first place is Rami Matila from the Finn team, 1-2 with Tommy Mannanen in second place. Number 3 is Aaron Jajovsky of Speedy Mite. Well, it's a Speedy Mite 2-3-4 with Aaron Jajovsky and Giuseppe Iaria. Number 5 is Stalio Fafgato's Auto State Poof team. 6th place is Jeffrey Tassanois. 7th place, Craig Patterson. 8th place, Akis Kavrakidis. Number 9 is Ricardo Edelman. Number 10 is Pierre Cavillon. 11th place, Sam Fuller. Number 12 is Ricardo Umans. 13th is Alan Groth. Number 14th in the grids is Tobias Warner. 15, Marco Weichter. Then we got Cyril Sauce, Johan Karushak, Ali Ferry, Edward Rocket, Jürgen Vernden Northgate, Nick Wheeler, Jonas Hiller, Daniel Trapp, Jose Vasconcelos, and Simon Marshall. Well, that's your entire grid. I meant to say without the lights going up. We're 10 seconds. The lights will go green really shortly. 1, 2, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5, 6. We're going racing at the Nürburgring circuit. Race start right now. Good start from Raymond Matila in first place. Tommy Mannanen not far behind. You're going to round out your curve 1. Aaron Jajovsky putting big pressure on the Finn team, trying to go inside, outside, both going, trying to make moves. We're trying to go safe. Well, Rami Matila is off the track. Tommy Mannanen goes in a safe spot, goes away, try to avoid danger. That means your first place is Aaron Jajovsky. Number 2 is Tommy Mannanen right now. Rami Matila dropping back a few spots in the grid right now. Wow, Peter.
Yeah, very, very hectic start there. I didn't expect that, but we said in qualifying that staying out of trouble is going to be important, and we've just seen that illustrated perfectly. Matila going back down. He's currently dropping through the order. He's nearly gone off track again at Valvoline Curve. He's getting really pushed around at the back of the field, and Jajovsky is just taking advantage of that, and he's currently leading ahead of the Finn team Audi of Mannanen. and I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, neither did I. Aaron Jajowski, one of the fastest drivers you ever can see currently. He's in one of the best spots in the grid right now because he's going to have free room to run away from the whole pack, but Tommy Männinen is a fast driver and he can catch up that pace off the Ferrari. Number 3 is the Jeffrey Tessenwall with a good start, jumping to the 3rd place. 4th place is, if I'm not mistaken, that might be Stelio Fafgatos trying to go side to side in the NGK chicane. It's not the best places you can make a move, but he's going to try either way. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. No, he backs out from Jeffrey Tessenwall. That means your first lap will be in the lead of Aaron Jajowski from Macedonia, representing Team Speedy My Racing. He's in your 1st place. 2nd place will be Tommy Männinen. 3rd place will be in, oh my God, Giuseppe Aria in the front seat. He's gone off and he's all gone wrong nearly in the start-finish line off Nürburgring. But wow, Giuseppe Aria dropping several spots right now. But your 1, 2, 3 is Aaron Jajowski, Tommy Männinen, Jeffrey Tessenwall is your 3rd place, Stelio Fafgatos 4th, Ricardo Edelman with another good start. He's in 5th place. Rami Matillo with that mistake from the start. He dropped 5 spots back. He's in 6th place. Pierre Cavillon from S56 design with another good start. He's your 6th place. Craig Patterson was 8th place. He dropped back after the Mercedes Arena curve. Well, he's dropping several spots back. He was in 8th, might be in 16th. That means 8th place is from Samuel Floor with another great start from the BMW Z4 driving on the soft tires once again. That means 9th place is Ricardo Umont. 10th place goes to Akis Kavrakidis. 11th place Alan Groth. 12th is Andrew Rocket. Number 13 is Johan Ricardo Schock. Tobias Warner 14th, and Ronnie R top 15 is Marco Weither. Well, this is a crazy race, Peter. We are not even 2 laps in properly.
Yeah, and going back to that Giuseppe Aria, it looked like he made contact with Ricardo Edelman coming out of the final corner. It looked like 2 cars going into the first, going to 1 didn't work, and that I deem that as a racing incident. We'd have to look back later on, but as you said, out front, Jadowski in the lead ahead of Männinen and Tassenau, and we saw on lap 1 how the 2 GT-Rs were battling for 3rd place, and also Edelman got over the curbs at the end GK chicane on the 1st lap, so he's going to be having to watch for that.
Yes, and Ricardo Edelman, as you said, well, apparently our cameraman caught up to something. Oh, Giuseppe Aria is out of the race, by the way, currently, but our cameraman just kept something.
It's an incident with Edward Rocket at the NGK chicane. He's in the road, and it looks like Vasconcelos is involved as well.
Wow, the one I'm seeing right now is a battle place. Rami Matillo trying to move up the field. He's going to make a move on the inside of the arena against Ricardo Edelman. He's going to nab the 5th place from Ricardo, and he's going to try to make moves right now and catch up to Stelio Fafgatos and Jeffrey Tessenwall. Talking about Jeffrey, he just lost 3rd position to Stelio Fafgatos.
Yes, the Nissan's battling as well, and Matillo trying to make his way back up the field now. He made a brilliant move on Edelman. Edelman couldn't respond, but further down the field we see excellent battles all the way through the mid-pack. And Samuel Fuller just ahead of Kev Karedis, as well as Umans, Karl and Roloff Groff in 12th position, and they're all battling very, very hard in these first opening laps.
Yes, one of the key things in this track that we forgot to mention is pace. We mentioned driver's pace, but it's the tires, especially those medium tires in this track. It's if you have the good proper setting, your tires will have the proper heating, not heating, but it's going to be in the proper tire temperature. It's going to be very necessary to maneuver in all the curves in this track and to try to avoid as many mistakes as possible. But still, your 1st place is Aaron Jajowski, but the main fight is in the mid-packs, trying to basically from 5th to 10th spot. It's anybody's game right now, Peter.
Yeah, it's very ferocious back there in the mid-pack. We see numerous drivers separated by just 10th of a second. I'm looking at the battle between the 2 McLarens. This is Sauce and Wacher, Waitscher in 14th and 15th, and that is a very close battle. They're also just behind Thomas Rohner as well.
Yes, and that 15 battle is something to be concerned of, because that 15th spot is the last point. That's the points position in this championship. You only get 1 point if you're 15th spot. So for the teams that matters more than anything else, that's really necessary. You have that 15th spot. While Michael Weitzer is in the outside, he managed to avoid any incidents going outside the Mercedes arena, but that allows Rio Salce to move up on the back bumper off the German driver and try to make moves down the line. But one thing, as I said, is necessary is a good balance between acceleration and handling, as there are many sweeping bends and off-camber curves, as Mr. Peter Lee just said. But now, one thing I'm seeing is the field itself is spreading apart. With the lead right now between Arnjavski and Tommy Männinen is 2 seconds. That means that Ferrari is having great moves around the track and managing to distance himself with quite some ease from the ferocious R8s.
Yeah, he's pulling a back gap. It's almost up to 3 seconds already as we approach the end of lap number 3. And up into 4th position is Tassanoi. He's been overtaken by Fedgardos a couple of laps ago, but as you said, very spread out in the first couple of positions. And this is something that Mattila is going to be concerned about, because of course he made the mistake at the start and now he's got to make his way back through. He's currently trying to pass lap traffic. That is Van den Noordgate, who moves out the way on the start and finish straight very helpfully. But as we said at the start, staying out of trouble will be the key to this race, and I think it's been proved in these opening laps.
One thing we got to say, the battle going on right now, I think the battle we have to keep an eye on, it's Ricardo Edelman and Pierre Caravion with the S56 design car. Ricardo Edelman on the AstroTurf, nearly going off on the Mercedes arena, going to the left hand hairpin, and the right hander leading outside of the arena, nearly going off, but that allows Pierre Caravion to catch up. Now Ricardo has traffic with the Van den Noordgate on their way. Now they're gone off, but still it's a very tight gap, and if they keep going like this, Sam Fuller with another great performance of the British driver with that Z4 going up and moving places.
Yeah, he had a strong finish at the opening round, finishing 9th at Monza, and he's improving on that in this round up to 8th place. And we saw earlier on that the battle for 15th and 14th was hotting up, and it still is. And Marco Waitscher has now dropped back behind Dorsey as they came through the Mercedes arena and into the opening half of the lap. But yes, very much opening battles are very ferocious.
And one thing I'm seeing, it could probably be a point of to take notice really soon. It's Stelio Fafgado approaching Tommy Männinen with quite some ferocity. He's catching up to lap traffic. I think that's Nick Wheeler, but one of the DTK racing cars. He managed to pass through on the last curve, but right now he got a few room to make moves. He's below a second, around 0.7 seconds from Tommy Männinen. We could see a second place battle brewing up really soon, Peter.
Yeah, definitely, as we see Rami Mattila set the fastest lap of the race. And one thing we need to mention is that fastest lap is worth 1 point for the team's championship, and that could be crucial as well. We're not starting well, perhaps that extra point can relive his championship standing for the Finn team.
Yes, because right now they have a good gap against the Talking Door Racing, which would be your second team right now in standings. We'll have to see after round 2 though, because Tobias Reuner is in 13th and Jeffrey Tassenmont right now is going to suffer heavy pressure from Rami Mattila. But nevertheless, it is a thing to actually take notice that fast lap could actually probably not in this round, but further rounds it could actually play a heavy difference. Peter, well said.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, our cameraman just said something. Let's see P8. P8 is the battle going on right now. Sam Ford managed to catch up with Pierre Cavillon and, well, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Ricardo Edelman as well. And the British guy is trying to make moves. Right behind them actually is Aki Kavrakidis with a great start as well. He was actually in the top 15. Now he's side to side against Sam Ford. Managed to pass him with ease and gonna lead up to the NGK chicane. And I think the key right now to Sam is actually try to keep up with the GT-R off Aki's and make moves in the later laps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that GT-R is much quicker in a straight line. Sam Fuller is obviously, with the Z4, got the advantage in the corners. So if he can stay with him on the straights, use the slipstream, perhaps save a tiny bit of fuel as well, which you can use later on, that could possibly play into his hands.
And one other quick battle we can actually grab our eyes on really soon is Ricardo Eumans, also from Redshift Racing, and Johan Karoshak from S56 Design. They're fighting for the top 10 spot, and not far behind is Tobias Warner. But if they keep going like this, Tobias, which is a very fast driver on his own right, Ricardo made a little bit of mistake on the arena, on the outside of the rear arena. This side to side, he lets off the Frenchman of Johan go through. But, well, Johan now is your 10th place in this race, and Ricardo could actually lose another spot.
Yeah, that's a very big battle going on there. Made another tiny mistake going out of Ford curve there, getting slightly sideways, and the oversteer playing into a part, and the other GT-R will be on his case very soon. But meanwhile, the other Ricardo Edelman, lost a position there to, it was Cavillon, but it looks like he's taken it back, and Cavillon has actually dropped back to 8th position now behind the other Nissan of Kavrakidis, who we saw past Samuel Fuller.
And Sam Fuller is putting big pressure on the French driver right behind him, and I can see him make moves. Actually, Pierre did a very aggressive block on the entry of the left-hand curve on the downhill leading to the big straight and before the NGA chicane. But one thing I'm noticing is that while the BMW doesn't have a lot of straight lining speed compared to the other cars in front of him, he can catch up rather easy on the curves itself due to its lightness and mobility, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and of course that is going to play in. He's going to have to keep up that momentum throughout the corners in order to minimize the loss he's going to have on the straight. And now he's only got the Lamborghini in front, which isn't as fast as the Nissans, so hopefully he can latch onto the back of that group and stay within contention of the top 10 position, which is looking likely at the moment.
Yes, but in the meanwhile, that 10th place battle is still going on. Actually, Tobias Warner is knocking on the door of Ricardo Eumans. Johan Karoshak on the outside going too wide in the exit of the arena on the left-hand hairpin. Now it's a three-way battle leading next to the Ford curve. Johan Karoshak and Ricardo Eumans, they're side to side. They have a small touch, but they let off. Ricardo still with the 11th spot and Johan still in 10th, but Tobias, front talking door, he needs that top 10 spot. He needs it for his team because next track is a track that is probably going to be very heavy on the Nissan, which is Brent Hatch. But right now he's just playing spectator, seeing if they can actually make a wrong move or lose time so he can actually catch up.
Yeah, and we see them going side by side once again, the Lamborghini and the Nissan very, very close. And Tobias had a chance on the previous lap down to the NGK chicane, but didn't take it due to the difficulty of making such a move. And it looks like now, finally, it has been Eumans who has got through to the head of that group in 10th position.
And now I'm just wondering when Tobias is going to make that move. It has to be really soon. He's catching the draft of the Huracan, but the NGK chicane is not the best places for you to make moves, and he thinks that way as well. He lets off the NGK chicane. Both drivers make a wrong move. Tobias on the inside on the last curve. He passes both of them.
Wow, and that is what can happen, capitalising on both the drivers' mistakes in front, and he's got himself into a top 10 position now. Further up the field, the battle is still raging on for 6th position. The two Nissans haven't been able to break away from Cavallon here on lap number 9, and Fuller just hanging on to that group. It looks like he's going to have difficulty though with that Z4.
And in further up in the field, actually Jeffrey Tassenwine and Rami Matilla going at it at 4th place, and I'm wondering when Jeffrey is going to let off, because apparently Rami has much more pace and better car setup than Jeffrey Tassenwine. Of course, Jeffrey is a really fast driver on his own right. If we're talking to racing, he had a second stint in Monza, which was unbelievably awesome, and actually nabbed the 3rd spot, the 3rd place in the standings from Aaron Tajovsky, but still under pressure from Rami, and I'm wondering if that's the lap that Rami's going to make a move.
Yeah, they're very close now, and you'd think that with that pace that Matula has, the pace advantage over the Nissan, as we saw in qualifying, that perhaps he can make a move. He's right in the slipstream now. The NGK chicane, as we've seen over the previous few laps, has not been a good place for overtaking, so perhaps waiting for the straight. But further back, down in 17th and 18th position, I saw Jonas Hillert and Nick Wheeler get into a little bit of a kerfuffle at turn 1. The two drivers going into there, and I think it was Wheeler who spun, and then they ended up nose to nose in the first corner, but luckily both drivers have escaped unscathed and they remain in their 17th and 18th position.
And while in that 10th place battle, Tobias Warner actually lost position to Ricardo Humans, but looking to regain that spot and letting Johan Karshaw close down. While your top 10 right now in the standings after 9 laps completed is Aaron Tajovsky, your 1st place in this race. 2nd place is Stelio Fafgatos. Actually managed to make a move on lap 6, if I'm not mistaken, on Tommy Manninen for that top 2 spot. The 3rd in the standings right now is actually Tommy Manninen, as I said it. 4th place is still Jeffrey Tassenwa. 5th place, not far behind, is Rami Mazzilla. 6th place provisionally is Ricardo Edelman. 7th place is Pierre Cavillon. 8th place Sam Fuller. 9th is Akikis Kavrakidis, and 10th place is Ricardo Humans. Once again, those viewers watching us at home, if you're liking the broadcast, give us a like on twitch.tv/Racedepartment if you want to follow up with the action and try to see if you can beat those drivers. Reserve slots are open for further rounds. Next round is Brands Hatch, and we got further rounds out. So we got Spau, we got... Oh, 1 second before I break it down. Karshaw and Warner on Dunlop. Karshaw went too deep in and touched Tobias Warner on the outside, and that led a driver. I think that's Real Sauce. Yes, I think it is, to make a move on both drivers, capitalized on the error of the Frenchman and moved up a few spots up, and might be able to catch Ricardo Human soon in the further laps.
Yeah, definitely, and that move was definitely well judged by Sauce. He saw the drivers in front getting together and decided to let off the gas, let them go wide, and he went up the inside. Now he's gained 2 free positions, and looking at his pace, he's been catching that group over the last couple of laps, and now it looks like he's knocking on the door for a top 10 position for Ricardo Humans. And further back, we've seen Carl Izak go off the track at the chicane. He's now back on the circuit. It doesn't look like he's lost any positions, but he's lost a lot of time, and now Whiteshirt is now only a few seconds behind and could look to challenge in the next few laps.
Yes, could actually look up and move up to that 13th spot. The McLaren over here actually plays an advantage compared to the Lamborghini. While he lacks power compared to the Lamborghini, the mobility in this car is completely awesome. Is actually the McLaren engineering going to work? And moving up the field, if I'm not mistaken, moving up the field, actually, there's still battles going on. Sam Fuller trying to make a move on Dunlop, didn't capitalize on it, and Jeffrey Tassenwa still going over Rami Matilla. But one thing I'm noticing, Stalios, is not being able to open up the gap on Tommy Manning, and we can see actually the Finn driver moving up second by second, trying to catch up to the Greek driver.
Yeah, and that battle is very much on between Tassenoir and Rami Matila, as well as the other Nissan, Bannerman and Fifgatos. But clearing out the front is Jazowski, led from the end of the Mercedes arena, and now he's pulled a 6-second gap. Staying consistent lap times in the mid 1 minute 55s has been the key for his race so far, and with 11 laps completed onto lap 12 now, he looks really, really good.
And now I was actually wondering, we're approaching our halfway race mark. It's 46 laps in this track. Oh, we got a touch. Rami Matila and Jeffrey Tassenoir on turn one. The Rami went way too deep into the first turn and touched on the back bumper, T-boning Jeffrey Tassenoir. Eventually grabs fourth place from Jeffrey, but I believe that's going to be overlooked. No, he doesn't. Actually, Rami lets Jeffrey pass. Very gentleman driving from Rami Matila, noticing the mistake that he done and letting the Belgian driver go through, and he's waving his car in, saying thank you for the gentlemanship.
Yeah, that was very controversial there, but Matila doing the right thing. He may have lost some time, and as did Tassenoir, but they both remained in the same positions, and hopefully next time Matila goes for a move, it's going to be a bit cleaner. But further back, Sam Fuller has dropped back to 9th position. He was battling Cavallon earlier on in the race, but now he's behind Kedis again in the Nissan. So Sam Fuller staying very, very consistent, but not able to make any moves up the field, remaining in that 9th position.
And in 10th place, we got Cyril Sauce. Actually managed to capitalize and pass up Ricardo Humans in the previous lap, and now he's in 10th spot, but still suffering pressure from both German and the Dutch driver. And Johan Karlschak actually lost a lot of touch, but Marco still not being able to catch up in that pace off the Huracan off Karlschak. And going back to what I was thinking, we're nearing our halfway mark. We're actually 12 laps completed in this race. What do you think? Which lap is going to be the pit window, Peter?
I think it could be anywhere from around lap 20 to lap 30, maybe even further afield, and possibly drivers fueling less. Maybe Brzezowski has fueled a bit less than he can, predicting somehow the mistakes of the leading drivers and possibly getting ahead. We just don't know at this stage, and possibly tyre wear would be starting to play a factor, especially for the drivers on soft tyres at this point, and that is going to be like a factor too. So I would say around lap 15 to lap 30 would be somewhere around that region would be where we're going to see pit stops.
I wholeheartedly agree. That's actually going to be a little bit more bold. I'm putting some maps later. I'm putting over 21 to lap 33 maybe in that pit window. But nevertheless, we've seen drivers, for example, Jeffrey Tassenoir is one perfect example. You went in the 30th, 5th lap in Monza of the 48 lap race we had in that track, going over a very long first stint, managed to save his medium tires quite a bit and managed to actually nab a 3rd place spot. So that's where the key strategy plays over right now. You need to be very aware of when you're going to pit in. If you can make moves and change your tires is essential, but if your pit strategy is going to pay out in the rest of the race due to the unpredictability that is in this track.
Yeah, and perhaps Tassenoir will be doing the same again. We've seen him being consistent here. Apart from the touch he had with Martler earlier on, he's been consistent and remained in the top 5. And we saw how good that strategy was in Monza, managing to make a late surge through the field to make a podium position for his team. And if that happens again, then he would be very, very liked by his team for his moves.
Yeah, my apologies. Actually, my game had a little bit of an issue. My game actually, I cannot see any game stream. If you're able to see, Peter, take it away.
So, apologies for that, viewers, but at the front we have Jajovski, who's led from lap 1. In second place we have Fevgatos, who is 6.6 seconds behind, but he's come up from a lower grid position to that second place. Tommy Mannanen is the first of the Finn team drivers, who we said would be very quick before the race. He's lost a few positions from his starting position on the front row, but he's looking strong in third position. Gregory Tassenois, after his touch with Jeffrey Tassenois, apologies, is in fourth position at the current stage, with Remy Matila right behind, and Remy Matila looking to make a move into Kumo curve, but unable to do that on this lap. He's looking threatening for a few laps, and they're very much side by side coming through this next couple of corners. In sixth position is Ricardo Edelman, seventh position is Cavion, eighth is Kev Rikedis, ninth is Samuel Fuller, who's been consistent throughout and in this battle despite his speed disadvantage, using the traction of the BMW to his advantage to stay on the back of this group. In 10th position is Sorsay, 11th is Ricardo Umans, who is actually going alongside Tobias Rona as they come out of the bit curve, turn 12 along the long straight, and just behind that the Polish driver Karoska is trying to try and get up the inside of Tomasz Rona, but he decides not to in the end. Very dangerous through that corner, deciding that perhaps on the straight will be a better option. In 13th position is Karolchak, 14th is Marco Weicher, 15th is Craig Patterson, 16th position is Roloff Groff, 17th is Nick Wheeler, and in 18th position we have Ali Ferry. But battles throughout the field, as we have seen throughout this race, most particularly in the fourth position we have Jeffrey Tassenois under pressure from the Finnish driver of Rami Matila. Sixth position battle has also been raging throughout, Ricardo Edelman managing to escape that battle in the last few laps. And we're seeing now that tyre wear may be starting to play into people's hands or out of people's hands, people starting on the soft tyre, perhaps now feeling the disadvantage of that choice, but hopefully going to have a early pit stop and undercut, possibly, as we look further back in that battle. Cavion under pressure from Kev Rikedis. And Lorenzo, you're back with us?
I am back. Actually, I was letting you do your job because that was actually really good. If you wanted to, you can take the whole comments. You can take the whole comments if you want to. I'm just gonna be over here watching.
I don't mind, but I'm sure the viewers like to hear your voice, so you can commentate on the 7th position battle if you'd like.
Oh, thank you. I will commentate on that. Well, actually, Pierre Cavion, my apologies, viewers. My game went a little bit 420. Blaze it. And, well, I'm back now with my proper race stream. Well, Pierre Cavion suffering heavy pressure from Akis Kavrakidis. Akis is definitely going to look on the inside of the entrance of the arena. No, he yields that battle. Probably the soft tires could be downplaying the factor right now to his disadvantage, of course, downplaying disadvantage. But, well, that allows Sam Ford to catch up a little bit on both drivers and make moves later on. Old Sim having a wild entry. He's sliding off the entry off the left-hand hairpin leading out to the arena. All done by the British driver to hold that one, but still in ninth place. And as I'm looking towards the field, the battle's still going over the top 5 and in the first places on the field. And in the mid-packs, the battle is 11th and 12th spot for Tobias Reuner and Ricardo Umans. And if I'm Tobias, I should be really frustrated for his performance thus far, related to the top 2 standings of the Talking Door Racing.
Yeah, at the moment he's not really upholding team honours here. He's all sideways, all over the grass as they exit turn 7 as they go down to Dunlop Curve. And he's going to be even more frustrated because he's been behind that Nissan for a good number of laps now and not been able to find a way back past. But further down the field, we've seen how the top 15 is very important for the points positions, of course, 15th being the last points paying position in this championship, and the teams are going to be looking to get that position. Craig Patterson was a driver who failed to score in the opening round at Monza, but now he's in that 15th position, running steadily, and he's now coming up behind the fellow McLaren 650S of Marco Watcher.
Well, it's really good to see. Oh boy! And meanwhile, Fletcher back in the field, coming in and having a little bit of a wild exit off the left-hand hairpin, leading out to the arena. But now the gap is over 0.6 of a second against Elio Fafgados, and I think that's where Mr. Peterly precisely mapped the factor. Probably is the soft tires of the GT-R playing a very decisive factor for this disadvantage, not disadvantage, but this decrease of, let me be very precise, decrease of gap between the French and the Greek driver. But I believe if Tommy keeps up that pace, he's going to be on the back bumper of the Greek driver in at least 2 laps.
Yeah, and he's been closing in since he made that mistake and Fafgados got through. And what we're seeing here is both Finn team drivers perhaps not expecting to be behind people after their qualifying pace, of course qualifying the front row, and they're now in battles with Nissans, of course, which are faster in a straight line and therefore very difficult to overtake, as we see Matila trying to go for a move through turn 12 but not able to find a way through, and now they get onto the straight and the Nissan is just going to accelerate away. So it's a problem for those Audis.
Even though with the draft, I think that plays in a disadvantage for the Audi, even though their ballast they are 5 kilos more to the ballast of the Audi compared to the GT-R, and they get it right now. Lap traffic in Jose Vasconcelos. Jeffrey might just go off. Both of him and Rami Matila just passing Joseph Vasconcelos over here on the start finish line. And once again, we got a battle going on for fourth place. And Tommy is still on the back bumper of Elio Fafgados, trying to pick up ground on the GT-R off Fafgados and try to nab once again the second spot off the Greek driver. And he might be able to do it, if not on this lap, most definitely on the next lap. Well, once again, my name is Lorenzo Bonder. I'm with Peter Lee as my sidekick, Mr. David Van der Ven on the cameras. Well, round 3 will be in Brands Hatch GP circuit, not the Indy circuit, because you don't want to see 28 cars are driving around a 50-second race and going basically redneck NASCAR style around the track. But GP track proves a really big challenge, especially on the very slow cars, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and we'll see the BMWs and the McLarens and possibly even the Huracans, the Lamborghinis, come into effect there, of course, with their better levels of downforce. They're lightweight and they're also more nimble through the corners, so being more agile will definitely help there. But looking further down the field, we've seen Thomas Rona being frustrated by not being able to get past Ricardo Umans, and he's now got even more problems because he's dropped back behind the Polish driver of Kałoszak.
Yes, and right now he's in 13th spot, and not far behind is Marco Weither and Craig Patterson. Both the Guernsey and the German driver are making moves. We had an incident in the Schumacher S. I'm not sure who the driver is standing in the Schumacher S. That's Edward Rocket on the exit of the Schumacher S. That's not a good spot that you want to stand in if you're a GT3 driver.
No, very quick through there, approaching 200 kilometers an hour, so not the ideal place to make a move. But you said on the last lap of Mannanen getting closer and closer to Fafgados, and he's now right on the wheel of Fafgados, and as you said, it could be any moment now that he's going to make his move.
Yes, and that would be very good for the Finn team. And we got battle for places everywhere in the track. It's everyone's position right now. Your position is not safe. 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, Well, Sam Fuller just made a pit stop. He's gonna obviously drop a few spots, but right now Sam doing 18 laps on his first stint with the soft tires, and now he's with the mediums, Peter.
Yes, and he's in clean air now, which will play into his advantage. Of course, before he was behind the Nissans and the Lamborghinis, which are both slightly slower in the corners but faster on the straights. Now he can carry that corner speed. Perhaps not be as fast on the straights, but carrying the corner speed and running his own race. You can see him warming up the tyres there, trying to get some heat and stuff before he starts his charge back up through the field. And we also saw Nick Wheeler making a pit stop early on.
Now we're gonna see if driver strategies are gonna pay off in this field. While Sam's gonna have to do a 30 lap stint with his medium tires. That's not an easy task to do. It's achievable, but not the easiest task you want to have yourself in. But we're 18 laps complete in this field. Oh, sorry, 19 laps completed in this field. We're on our 20th. Aaron Najowski is still your first place in this race. Stalio Favgato second place. Not far behind is Tommy Manning in third place. Fourth place is Jeffrey Tassenois. Fifth is Rami Matilla, trying to still not be able to pass the Belgian driver. He's gonna look it in the inside of the left-hand curve. Oh, he doesn't pass, and he heels. He's about trying to axe the Belgian driver. He got pace. And they're side to side leading to turn 6. They're nearly touching, but they don't. They're keeping it clean thus far. Now the Finnish driver has the advantage over turn 6. He shuts the door, nearly shuts the door on Tassenois, but finally, after a long stint of laps, Rami Matilla is your fourth place in this race, but it's still not out of the fight.
No, and that is a very important move in this race. Of course, now he can control his own race instead of being controlled by Tassenois' pace. And we've seen his pace through qualifying, of course, on the front row, and now he can just push. That is going to be something that he's going to really like. But I was just thinking about Sam Fuller. Perhaps he came into the pit lane early in order to undercut drivers around him. He was getting held up by the Nissans and the Lamborghinis. We'll have to see.
Most definitely. Sorry to break it down, but now Stalio Favgatos is leading, going to the pits with 19-20 laps completed. Now he's probably going to put the medium because I really doubt he can do a second stint in the softs. And now I think you put it up precisely. Now we're seeing drivers moving up in the pit stop from the 15th to the 20th lap, and we might see drivers going up even further. That might be the case with the Talking Door Racing guys, as they like to do it.
Yeah, and hopefully this time Tassenois doesn't make a mistake in the pit lanes, because we saw in Monza that he had to reverse back into his pit garage, and I think without that he would have already had the third place over Jajowski in that race, but as it was, he managed to get back behind the Ferrari and overtake. So pit stop's a crucial part, and we've also got Kevin Rickedis in the pit lane in the Nissan.
Yes, but well, I'm gonna see around the field now as we have drivers moving up and down. But the battle right now is Pierre Cavillon and Ricardo Edelman. They touch, leading to turn 5. The French driver wants to make a dangerous move. Touch once again. Cavillon nearly making a little big mess on turn 5. Managed to keep it in the track. But still, Ricardo Edelman with your 6th spot. Well, he's going to be 5th once the lap is complete, but nevertheless, very well done by the German driver, keeping his car in track.
Yeah, and going back to the battle between Kev Rickedis and Fuller, we saw before the pit stop phase that those two were right together, and again they're right together again after the pit stop phase, nose to tail, and it's just like no pit stop has happened. Both using a similar strategy here in this race, and they're resuming their battle.
Very well said, and still the lead of this race. Aaron Jajowski still hasn't pitted. Tommy Manning still hasn't pitted. We got driver in the pits right now. That's the case of Daniel Trapp. Daniel Trapp right now in the pits. He's in 18th spot, so he's not in contention for a 15 spot battle and get that 1 point. third place is Rami Matsila. So we got a Finn team 2-3 right now. The gap is actually really big. It's 16 seconds apart from one another. Jeffrey Tassenhoff, 4th place. Ricardo Edelman is in 5th. Pierre Cavillon, 6th place. 7th place might be of Stalio Favgatos. Now crossing the line right now, he is in 7th place. And right now with the pits, the whole field is pretty much scrambled right now.
Yeah, and we see Thomas Rona going off the track at the chicane as well. And I'm looking at the battle further down because that has been raging on throughout this race. Ricardo Umans, despite that free space, he's not been able to get ahead of Carlos Rack. And now Carlos Rack is going to look around the outside into turn 1, perhaps do the over and under on the Nissan. They touch going out of the first corner and into the second corner. It looks like Karachak is going to really look to get that position back into the top 10.
Yes, he might grab that top 10 once again from Ricardo Umans. They're both are fast drivers, and that spot right now matters for Tobias Reuner, because apparently if I was Tobias Reuner, I would do a longer stint and try to put lesser fuel in the soft tires and try to capitalize on the final laps and try to make moves on them, but it might not be able to pay off. Once again, Karashak and Newmans, they touched on the exit of turn 6. They're side to side leading to Dunlop. It might go a little bit really dangerous side to side, and Dunlop is not the best place you want to be. That allows Tobias Reuner to close the gap once again on the back bumper of the French driver. And I'm trying to see down the field. Well, actually, Michael White there and Craig Patterson are not far behind from Tobias, and they might like it if they keep going like this, because they can close down the gap and make moves.
Yeah, definitely. That is going to be a key to this race, as we said, to staying out of harm's way. And if I was Tobias Rona, I'd make a pit stop now, because he's obviously got the two in front who he doesn't know what are going to do. But if he can get that pit stop done, get out, get some clean air for a few laps, even if it's just 2 or 3, he might be able to jump the 2 drivers in front of him.
Oh, let's see if he's going to pit stop right now. No, he doesn't, so he stays out of the track one more lap. And
Craig
now
Patterson,
we have...
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. Craig Patterson got very sideways into the final corner there. Just recovered, and he resumes his battle. Go ahead.
Yeah, very well done. Very well caught, Mr. Peter Lee. I was going to mention down in the field the dominance. I want to bring up the dominance of Aaron Jajovski. What do you make of him right now in this race?
I think he's done what he needed to do after getting into the lead. He probably didn't expect to get into the lead, but he's got the pace, and as we can see, he's extended his lead now to 12.5 seconds. And we're only just halfway through the race as he peels into the pit lane now.
Yeah, and oh boy, making a little bit of a mess, a little bit of a drama on the entry of the pits. Let's see if Tommy Mannon is going to follow him. No, he doesn't. That means Tommy Mannon, after 22 driven laps, is going to complete lap 22. Right now, 23 laps complete. He's heading to the 24 restart halfway mark in this race. He's going to be your race leader. That means Rami Matsila, if Aaron does a pit stop right now and finishes out in the pit lane in front of him, he's going to be your 2nd place in this race. Jajovski is still in the pace. That means Rami Matsila is 2nd place. Jeffrey Tassenois might be your 3rd place. Yes, he's going to be your 3rd place in this race. And right now, Aaron going out in the track, that means he's going to be in front of Ricardo Edelman. That means good pit stop by Aaron. He's going to be 4th place, not losing a few spots. That means he got the undercut that he wanted to.
Yes, and we now see Cavillon, who has gone into the pit lane. He was battling with Edelman, and now he's gone into the pits as well. So it's very good news for Jajovski that he's got out in clean air. I was worried for a moment that he might end up near to Edelman, and possibly that might interfere with his race. But
yes,
he's managed to stay out, and he's back into clean air.
Yeah, and now Karashak as well in the pits, so that means both drivers of the F56 design are in the pit stops. And the key right now for those who made pit stops early is manage if they can save tires and avoid grinding out into further laps down in this race, because you don't want to spend a lot of tires battling, waving your car left and right and wasting your tire wear. Don't you agree with that, Peter?
Definitely, it's going to be very much on the drivers' minds to keep those tires able to grip until the end of the race. Of course, if you go into the last few laps and you've no grip at all, then it's not going to be good for the drivers. And we've seen that pit stops can be very, very crucial, and Kevrikedis has really made the most of it. He came in and he came out of the pit lane very near Samuel Fuller, and he's now 5 seconds ahead of the English driver.
And right now, Tommy Manningen is in the pit stops. So we got a few drivers still in the pits. Karashok is still in the pits. He might be getting some repairs done into his car. But that means if Rami Matilla keeps it in track, and yes, he does, that means Rami Matilla is your race lead. Once again, after 24 laps, he's your race leader. Once again in Nürburgring. And Jeffrey Tassenois might be your second place, your surprise second place. Once again, doing a really long stint, trying to keep his car in track for as long as possible, try to put the soft tires and capitalize on his GT-R pace. But the question is, will he be able to do it?
Well, that's the big question on our mind, and probably on his mind as well, is trying to get back ahead of Matala possibly. Is his plan if he does a longer stint, and I'm surprised he can do such long stints with the Nissan, because you'd think that through this high downforce circuit, which we said that it's very technical and very difficult for the drivers their pace, I'm surprised he's able to do such a long stint even in the Nissan, which you'd think with its heavy weight would be difficult to conserve tires.
And right now we're seeing someone in the pits right now. That's Craig Patterson. Right now he was 13th place in the lap 24. But now we got a few battles brewing right now in the field. We got Ricardo Humans with Tobias Warner. Michael Weither is not far behind. I think that's Akis Kavrakidis right behind it. Yeah, it is Akis Kavrakidis. Pierre Cavillon not far behind. Craig Patterson right now heading out of the pits. Let's see how much places he has lost and how much ground he's going to have to make up in this field. But one driver still in track and leading to the pits right now is Rami Matilla. Rami is headed to the pits currently in this lap. And that means Tommy Manningen is going to be your race lead for... No, not going to... Hold on. I might be wrong. I might be really wrong. Oh, Jeffrey Tassenois is your race lead. My apologies. My name is Lorenzo Bonder, the confused guy. And Jeffrey Tassenois, once again, is your race lead. Aaron Jovsky, close. Aaron, very careful with that move on the inside of turn 1. He's in second place. Ricardo Adamman is in third place. Very well done by Ricardo. Stalio Favgatos is in fourth place. Fifth place is going to be Tommy Manningen. Sixth place is not going to be Cyril Sauce. Cyril is headed down on the start-finish line. Aaron Rumi is headed out on the pits. Well done by the fifth driver.
Yeah, he's managed to do a good pit stop there, and he's back into sixth place. He's actually dropped quite a bit of time from my calculations. He's currently around 15 seconds behind his teammate, who has also pitted. So he may have lost some time in that pit stop phase. And we said before that is what Jeffrey Tassenois is going to be hoping, is that other drivers lose time in that pit stop phase and he can go longer, and then a quick stint at the end can bring him back into possibly a podium or fourth position at worst.
Well, the question is, there's another question which lingers in my mind. Will he miss the pit lane once again?
Well, it's probably going to be first on his mind now, because you don't want to make that mistake twice in 2 times in a row, 2 races in a row. The team is not going to be happy about that. So for his team, he's going to be wanting to take it carefully into the pit lane and into his pit box.
Oh boy, hold on, hold your horses right now. Stalio Favgatos moving to the fourth place, and Ricardo Adamman made a little bit of a wrong move on the exit of turn 12, but well done by the Greek driver, and then nearly face off on the exit of the NGK chicane. But nevertheless, Stalio Favgatos is third place in this race.
Yeah, and he's now made that move back up into provisional second position. Of course, Jeffrey Tassenwar is still yet to make his pit stop, so it will be Jajovski who will lead after the pit stop window. He's only 2 seconds behind Tassenwar, so you can see that Tassenwar's tyres are probably past their best by this point. We're over halfway and approaching 2/3 distance now. So Jajovski has got a big tyre advantage, and he's also got the position advantage, of course, because he's made his pit stop already.
Yes, now it's all a question of durability of those medium tires. Well, they got the option of going hard, but going hard in the set of course of all game is not very recommendable. The hard tires would be if you want to do one stint of like 50 laps with hard tires and be very durable, but they would not over here, but they would take too long to heat up. You don't want to do that in a 1 hour and a half race. Well, once again, money viewers, if you like the broadcast, give us a like on twitch.tv/Racedepartment.
And we've just seen a move being made for 9th position, and Thomas Rona is still behind Ricardo Umans, can still not get past, but further back, Calvion has got past Kevrakedis. He's been battling with the driver for a few laps, and he's now in front of the Greek driver. In 12th position is Marco Watcher. 13th is Samuel Fuller, who has already made his pit stop and is looking to regain some positions as other drivers make theirs. 14th is Craig Patterson, and 15th is Roloff Goff. And now we see that Tassenwar has got Jajovski, who was our previous race leader and probably will be our race leader after this, back into second position. After the pit stop phases has completed, he's going to be looking to get past Tassenwar, of course, on those worn tyres. But third position is Fergados, fourth is Edelman, and fifth position we can see a battle there. Actually, it's not a battle because the driver behind Bannon is, I believe that is Vasconcelos, who is a lap driver. He's going to go up the inside. No, he's not. I thought he was going to go up the inside for a moment there, but he safely stays behind Mannanen, and Mannanen continues in fifth position.
Well said, Mr. Peter Lee. If you want to keep going with commentating, go ahead, because actually my game acted once again. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the solar flare acting up on my internet. I'm just making up words right now. But keep it, take it away.
Okay, so while Lorenzo is sorting his end out, I will take you through the race order at the moment. Jeffrey Tassenwar is our current race leader, however he is yet to make his pit stop. Behind him directly is Erhan Jajovski in second place. He has made his pit stop and was leading by approximately 12 seconds before the pit stop phase. However, this will dent into that lead he had. In third position is Fergatos. He is in the Nissan was second before the pit stop phase. He has made a stop, Edelman has not, though, in the other Nissan. So we're seeing split strategies from the Nissans, either going short and then going long towards the end, or going long and then going short on the soft tyres, as we saw Tassenwar do in round one. In fifth position is the first of the Finn team drivers, that is Tommy Mannanen. He has started on the front row, however, mistakes in the opening laps let Jajovski through, and he is now back in fifth position, ahead of his teammate who is in sixth position. However, there's 14 seconds separating them on the track at the moment on lap 29. Brief yellow flag period for the drivers. It looks like everything has been settled now, though, as Matala heads through the final chicane before the final corner. In seventh position is the first of the Camel Cannon liveried cars of Priority 1 Motorsport driver Sauce. In eighth position is Ricardo Umans. He is just ahead, still just ahead, as he's been for most of the race, of Tobias Rona, who really will be looking for a better result than this, considering that his team is currently second in the standings. Torquedor Racing comprised of himself and Jeffrey Tassenwar, of course, who got third position at Monza. In 10th position is Kevrakedis, the other Nissan. He has made a stop, and one of the first in that group of Edelman and Sauce, who made their pit stops. In 11th place is Samuel Fuller. he made his pit stop around the same time as Kevrikedis, but has not been able to maintain the pace we saw in the first stint into this second stint. And in fact, just behind him is Cavion, who I think has dropped a few positions from.
One thing I can confirm is he dropped one spot to Sem 4 because he had a little bit of a wild exit of the NGK chicane, and he dropped. If I'm not one spot, he did, but I'm not mistaken. If I'm not sure if he dropped 1 or 2 spots, but one I can definitely guarantee. But if you want to keep taking it away with the field, go ahead.
Yeah, so behind that in 13th position is Marco Watcher, and actually this battle is very interesting because Craig Patterson only just behind. He's going to make a move down into turn number 3 into the second gear left-hander. Watcher will be looking to get the cut back possibly through the corner and out of the Mercedes arena. They come for the 30th time, these drivers now, and it looks like Watcher has been overtaken now firmly by Patterson, working his way slowly through the field. Patterson, driver from Guernsey, doing a good job for the Cannon Camel team. And rounding out your top 15 with the final points paying position is Roloff Groff. However, yes, he is still in 15th. He made a slight mistake there. I believe he was letting a driver through. In fact, it was Fev Gartos who was letting through. So that is your top 15 rundown as of lap number 30, but still it's Tassenois who leads despite the worn tyres that he is still on.
Yeah, and one thing I have to consider now about Tassenois and Dejovsky is, even though they're not teammates over here, which is going to generate some funny comments later on after race, post-race, is the fact that both drivers drive for Talking Door Racing. But Dejovsky drives for TDR in the V8 Championship, which is the Stock Car Championship. Right now, he makes a move on Tassenois. He retains once again the leadership of this race, and I can only see right now Dejovsky open up a large gap over Fev Gatos and the further drivers down in the field.
Yeah, and one thing I'm wondering is whether that was a school move by Tassenois, possibly thinking maybe he'll go long and see if he can hold up a few drivers near the front of the field so he doesn't have to make up as much ground come later in the race, possibly playing into his strategy. But we've seen how that gap has been halved between Dejovsky and Fevgatos. Now just 6 seconds between the first place driver and the third place driver here on lap number 31, whereas it was nearing 12 seconds before the pit stop days.
Yeah, so I'll hardly agree with you, and I can only see right now Tassenois making a move, making a pit stop in at least 1 to 3 laps, probably in this to the next 3 laps, but that he's gonna pit stop and try to make up ground, which could be really damaging considering how intense this race has been. And who has been your driver of the day thus far, Peter?
I would say Dejovsky, definitely. I think despite his pace disadvantage, he's stayed off the trouble and he still managed to build his gap. Despite that, I'd say that a number of other drivers throughout the mid-pack have been very strong. As we see Kevrikedis trying to make a move on Humans down in 8th position, and he's been one of the drivers who I've been very impressed with. His defending work and attacking work has been very good throughout the race. There is the driver number 7 of Kevrikedis. Sorry, Ricardo Humans.
Oh, very well captured. I was going to mention, if there are 2 drivers we can pick on in this race, that would be Stelio Fevgatos, and that would be one of my surprise picks because I did not see him being on the top on the top 3 spot, to be more precise. He's got right now over, if I'm not mistaken, 9 seconds over Ricardo Edelman, which is under pressure from Tommy Madden. If I'm not mistaken, Jeffrey Tassenois finally, after 31 laps, he's making his pit stop. And now, Jeffrey, if you consider yourself a really good driver, don't miss the pit lane.
Like he stopped in his box well.
Yeah, he stopped in front of one of the apartments.
Yes.
Thank God that set of course it actually doesn't crash people. But nevertheless, nevertheless, Aaron Jajowski is still in your first place of this race. Stelio Fagatos with an outstanding second place, driving the soft tires in this race, is in second place. Ricardo Edelman is suffering heavy pressure from Tommy Manning for that third spot battle, where Ricardo is still in third place. Tommy is in fourth. Rami Matilla is in fifth place right now, not suffering pressure. I was heavily mistaken. That I was seeing the rear mirror. I thought that was one of the Ferrari 488s from Speedy Mind, but I remember that Giuseppe actually quit the race. He forfeited this race in the very early stages of this race, but that means Real Sauce is in sixth place. Ricardo Humans is in seventh place. Arkis Karafakis looking left and right in turn two. He's in eighth place. Pierre Cavillon is in ninth, and Sam Floor once again surprising everyone that does that for. He's in 10th place.
Yeah, and that battle is very much on between Ricardo Umans, Kevrakedis and Cavillon, as Kevrakedis looks for the outside into Valvoline curve. Will that turn into the inside? He's on the grass, but he's looking to make that move work. It doesn't quite work. Now he's under pressure from the Huracan, of course, and the other Huracan. Two teammates are together now. Johan Karolczak is right behind Pierre Cavillon. So the two S56 design cars are nose to tail at the moment.
Yes, and they had a little bit of a dramatic oh boy. Don't weave that car left and right, Akis. You know better. But nevertheless, Akis is managing to defend his position from both Lamborghinis and catching up to Ricardo Humans, which made a little bit of a wild exit, nearly blocking once again Pierre Cavillon on the exit of turn 11, now turn 12. You're keeping it straight. I'm gonna raise my hands over here. I'm gonna drop my microphone and praise to God they don't crash into the NGK chicane. They are approaching heavily on the NGK chicane. Humans managing to keep his car inbounds. Also, Aki's and Pierre Cavillon safely. They didn't do any dramas, but I think the one that actually lost a few seconds is Johan Karolczak, but still, if I'm not mistaken, he might be a lap down. He's in 17th place from my count. Yeah, he is. I think that damage on his car was too much by the way it looks, but still, that looks like a five-way battle for several spots in the field. I'm amazed. I'm basically speechless.
Yeah, because Ricardo Elderman has just come out of the pit lane and rejoined that battle. So the other Nissan, in fact, he is the teammate of Ricardo Humans in the Redshift Racing car, and the touching all the way down the straight towards turn number 6. Looks like the number 33 of Ricardo Edelman is going to come off best, but once again, it looks like Kevrakedis is going to go around the outside, turns to the inside, and this time he's able to make the move.
You guys have no idea how big my smile on the face. This is amazing, boys and girls. I'm really amazed. But Ricardo,
we've got a driver
made a little bit of mistake. Yes, he made a big mistake on Dunlop, overshot his curve entirely, dropped 3 spots, but he's still in contention of this race because Pierre Cavillon and Akis, they touch, and it's Sam Fuller. Oh my God! What is going on? It's Sam Fuller and Akis once again. Oh boy, it's all going wrong. Akis Kavrakis, Pierre Cavillon, and Sam Fuller getting the best of it. And I have to say, this was bound to happen, and now Pierre Cavillon and Jose Vasconcelos, it's all going wrong on lap 34, 33 of this race.
Yeah, a lot of drivers coming into contact there. Both Redshift Racing drivers were involved in that. Ricardo Humans, I think, came off the best of that, but he's into the pit lane now. I think that is actually a second stop.
I was going to mention Ricardo Edelman right now making the best of efforts in this race, and he says, "Danke schön." I'm just going to get away from this hellhole that I'm actually into right now. But the one who's actually saying thank you is Step 4, and I'm seeing Ricardo Humans in the pits right now. Did he quit this race? That is a good question.
I'm not sure. It might just be damage, because you did see a lot of drivers getting very close into that turn 11, turn 12 section. It was very close throughout the Schumacher S, and then into Kumo curve. I think 4 drivers into 1 didn't work. And in fact, Umans is back out onto the circuit, so it looks like he is going to continue and try and get a few points for the team.
That's very well done by the Dutch driver, but nevertheless, we have to wonder how much of time he has lost in this field. That battle was too extenuous on his body, and that means Cyril Sauce, I was catching the camera, but he had a little bit of a wrong move. That might be in the turn number 3 of the left-hand curve leading out to the Mercedes arena. He made a little bit of a wrong move. So that means in contention with Ricardo Umans. That's Craig Patterson. And I'm really interested to see how the battle for points right now is going to stack off, as we're probably going to have still the Finn team with the leadership of this championship. But right now, second to fourth spot, it's an open ground battle.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a lot of drivers getting mixed up in incidents throughout this race, and the big mix-up in this race could really mix up the championship as well, and it's going to have a direct correlation as we head to the next round. And we've finally seen Jeffrey Tassenwell make his pit stop a few laps ago. While all that was happening, he is now onto his soft tyres. In fact, it was a few laps earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah, he made a pit stop on lap 31, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so my apologies, already made a pit stop, but he's now back into 5th position after Ricardo Edelman made a pit stop, so Tassenwell looking for a top 5.
Most definitely, but now we have to see if in this final 12 laps of this race, Jeffrey is going to have the pace to beat both Rami and Tommy and grab good points for TDR in this championship. Well, guys, my name is Lorenzo Bonder. I'm Peter Lee's right next to me on the cameras, catching all the frenzy, rubbing, racing, bumper cars, all this kind of madness we have on the track. Is Davey Van de Ven. And next, in 2 weeks' time, it's Brent Hatch and Mr. Dylan Coyle, your favorite commentator in Race Department. I hope it's me, but it's probably Dylan, due to his eccentric voice and his knack of action. He's going to be back in commentator, and Peter Lee's going to join him right next to him in 2 weeks' time, only here on twitch.tv/Race Department. While your top 10 still in this race, Aaron Jajowski's dominating the whole race. No mistakes whatsoever for the Macedonian. He's in first place. Stalio Fafgatos surprising everyone with the second place for Stay Puft team. And if I'm going to say something else by Stay Puft after I give the top 10. Tommy Mananen is in third place. Rami Matilla is in fourth, and I'm seeing the gap has actually closed between one driver to the other. It's nearly 3 seconds right now. Jeffrey Tassenwa is in 5th place, catching them by 1 second a lap, but that might be not enough by the end of the race. Ricardo Edelman is in 6th. Sam Fuller with another great outing for the BMW Z4 is in 7th. Pierre Carville not far behind. He's probably going to make a move in the inside, on the outside of turn 1. He's in 8th place. Akis Kavrakidis is in 9th place. Tobias Warner, after drawing out a lot of frustration, not being able to move to the top 10, he's in 10th place, but not far behind is Cyril Sauce from Priority 1 Motorsport. My apologies. Ricardo Umans is in 12th place. Craig Patterson is in 13th. Marco Whiter. Oh, sorry, that might be a little switcheroo. Yes, Marco Whiter 13th. Craig Patterson is in 14th. And leading out your final place probably in the league lap is Alan Roloff Groth. He's in 15th place with a final point standing for Copenhagen Apex. And now we're approaching 12 laps left in this race. 36 completed. Aaron just completed his lap, and the gap between, one thing I'm noticing, the gap between Tommy Mananen and Rami Matilla is closing down nearly by 4/10 of a second per lap. And I'm wondering, will a podium battle happen, or will they keep that battle in home and try to grab the points for the Finn team.
Yeah, you'd think that being a team championship is more sensible for both drivers to try and in their respective positions at the moment to try and stay where they are and just bring home the points for the team, of course, being a team championship.
I mean, we have to consider that they are the racing, they're not the racing, but the championship leaders up to this point. And answering questions, I'm seeing a question on Twitch right now. Is there a drift championship?
Yeah.
No, we don't have drift championships, unfortunately. I would love to see a drift championship, though.
Definitely. Perhaps on Assetto Corsa.
Yeah, perhaps on Assetto Corsa or Need for... No, we're not going to put a Need for Speed, because actually Need for Speed, it wouldn't be the proper game to have a drift championship, but I would love to see something of the Formula Drift we have in the United States. That would be cool to see, or a D1 GP that we have on Japan. But that would be cool to see, wouldn't it, Peter?
Yeah, definitely. We're always looking for ways to expand our series, so Drift Series possibly is something in the future. But speaking of drifting, at the moment I'm getting some drifting cars. My connection is slightly lower at the moment and cars seem to be drifting around. I'm just watching Vev Gatos through the first Mercedes arena, and he is racking up their drift points.
Oh, he's racking up major points for his team, and he might be loving it. Dorifto time, but nevertheless, he's still in second place, grabbing great points for Team Stay Poofed, which I was gonna actually bring it back if I'm not mistaken. One of the members in chat said this is a reference, and I might not have caught the reference. This is a Ghostbuster reference, and I might not have catch it. That means my reference catching has failed.
I thought it was just a good pun, but then again...
Yeah, that is actually a good pun, and I have to say it.
But nevertheless, whatever the name of the team, they're racking up some good points. Second place for Vev Gatos is definitely a good start in this championship. I mean, in the first round, he wasn't present, if I'm correct.
Yeah, no, he was. Stelios actually was present in the first round, but he had a little bit of drama on turn 1 of Monza. Go figure, drama on turn 1 of Monza. Which race would not have a drama on turn 1 of Monza? There is always a race with drama in turn 1 of Monza. I said that 3 times. Yes, I did say that 3 times. But it's just, I'm clearing out to everyone. There's always drama on Monza. Something always happens in that track. All kinds of shenanigans happen in that track. But nevertheless, he's staying very strong for his team, grabbing a good spot, second spot, and that's going to be essential for the team, because in round 1 they were both strong, both him and fellow driver Theodoros, but they never managed to grab the points, as one finished not in the top 15 spot and the other one quit the race.
Yeah, so definitely an improvement this time round. And we said earlier that the two Finn team drivers are getting closer and closer together, and it's now only just over a second between the two drivers, so perhaps we could see a little R8 showdown in the last couple of laps of this race.
Well said, and I think in one battle we can catch our eyes on. Oh boy, Craig Patterson going off on the Dunlop curve. I was actually going to mention that battle between Guernsey and Germany, but that ain't happening. Not here and not in a few laps, as Craig Patterson actually overbraked his car and lost a little bit of control and nudged the back of Marco White there. Totally a race incident, but nevertheless that feels bad for Craig Patterson. Which in counterpart for his team, that is pretty awesome, having an 11th spot and a 14th spot and grabbing team points for this championship.
Yeah, it's definitely an improvement on his last race as well, where he failed to score points. Always team championship, of course, so all the team points will count towards the end of the season. even that last single point may make the difference between winning this championship and second place.
Most totally, but that means if we are to look at the picture right now, I think the team still dominating the championship. While the gap might have closed compared to some other teams, you have to do the calculation after and not going doing with math. Actually, that's Dylan's job or Casper Kolosic's job, which actually is not on the counts, but this evening. But he's good with mathematics. I'm not good with mathematics, even though I do mathematics for a living. But nevertheless, we really are interested to see what is the championship standings after round 2, which has Aaron Jajovski of Speedy Mind in first place, Stelio Favgatos of State Puff in second, then we got 3-4 in Rami Matilla and Tommy Menanen, which are right now really close apart one another, and I'm really interested to see if the Finn team's gonna go at it for the shenanigans and for the enjoyment of the crowd over here watching us on racedepartment.com. 5th place is Jeffrey Tessenhoff, Talking Door Racing. 6th place is Ricardo Adamant from Redshift. Pierre Cavillon from S56 Design is in 7th place. Sam Fuller, another strong Audi for the Flying Ballers team, is in 8th place. Akis Kavrakidis is in 9th place, and Tobias Warner rounds out your field in the Talking Door Racing Nismo GT-R is in 10th. Then we got Cyril Sauce in 11th, Ricardo Newman. Cyril is from Priority 1. Ricardo Newman is going to go in the inside of the NGK chicane. Oh, that's not the best of places you want to make a move, but well done by the Dutch. He grabs 11th spot from Cyril Sauce. That means 1 point more for Redshift Racing. 13th place is Marco Weister from Gainsco Racing. Very well done. Gainsco actually failed to actually have points in this race. Craig Patterson is in 14th. And Alan Roloff Groth is in your final point standing point. He's in 15th with the Copenhagen Apex Racing. Well, we have 6 laps to go. Something has happened. P3 happened. We got a P3 battle. Let's hope to dear baby Jesus that the Finn doesn't kill themselves as they love speed. Tommy Madden and Rami Matsila, they're going on turn 1. Don't kill yourself. Rami Matilla on the inside of Mananen. He's trying to go over and under. No, he doesn't actually. That means Rami Matilla goes in 3rd place. That means podium spot for Rami Matilla. Tommy is in 4th place. And Jeffrey Tassenwall with the sub tire is not being able to catch up.
No, it's really not been very beneficial for Jeffrey Tassenwall. We thought he maybe would make a bit more ground up in this final closing stint, but he still remained in 5th position, and that gap has remained around 15 seconds to the drivers up ahead. But the battle I'm looking at is between Umans and Sauce, who are going side by side into turn 11. Sauce looking for every single way around he can, trying to get that extra point for the Priority 1 Motorsport team.
Yes, most definitely well caught, and I'm trying to see battles further up in the field, but I think that's the battle, not the battle anymore, as Rami now distancing himself. What a long distance. Sorry for the dogs. Let the dogs out. I did let the dogs out. But nevertheless, they could still go at it for 1 more lap with 6 laps to go in this race, as Aaron Jajovski just rounds out lap 41 in this field.
Yeah, and we saw Jajovski trying to negotiate those 2 drivers. Sauce lost the position. In fact, he kept onto his position, but he didn't gain a position off Ricardo Umans going into the NGK chicane. And in the end, he decided that the blue flags were showing, and Jajovski deserved to get through as race leader. And that's actually put a gap between himself and Umans. So hopefully, when Jajovski catches up to Umans, he can once again reinstate that battle as it was before.
Most definitely, and I'm noticing something. Actually, the gap between Sauce and Newman is very close, but nevertheless, once Jajovski passes Newman, we're only gonna have the top 10 as the cars in the lead lap to show how much different is the pace between those cars, and somehow, some way, the balance of performance is actually working in this field.
Yeah, and I think Jajovski's pace throughout this race has just been impeccable. He's not made a single mistake from what I've seen, and just driven his own race. And now we saw one Priority One Motorsport team driver trying to get past another driver, and now Craig Patterson is right behind Marco Watcher as they go through the Schumacher S once again.
Yes, well, very well caught. That battle, I think, is the battle you can keep your eye on right now. And I believe that it has to be somewhat frustrating to all drivers not being able to make moves. But the one I'm actually watching right now is Marco Whiter and Craig Patterson for 13th and 14th. Well, it's not much of a point difference between one another, but still, it's very important that you grab the points and avoid mistakes. As Craig Patterson had a better exit on the HK chicane, now leading to the front start straight. I'm seeing on the chat blue flag as Aaron Jajovski just helps Ricardo Humans to yield his car. Now I'm wondering, will Cyril be able to catch up to Ricardo? As Ricardo, I think he's trying to battle. Is he trying? No, he's not trying to battle. I was going to go crazy. He was, for one second, I thought he was going to go after Aaron Jajovski and be in the lead lap. But that would be too suicidal and crazy to do it.
And now the McLarens are battling even more because Craig Patterson is back alongside Marco Watcher, so they made contact a few laps ago, but now it looked like the driver from Guernsey has got past the German driver into turn number 6, the Valvoline curve, and Patterson goes back into 13th, so it's now 12th and 13th for Priority One Motorsport.
Very well done, Cyril Sasse, making a little bit of, as you mentioned, the Priority One. Cyril Sasse on the exit of Dunlop, making a little bit of a wrong move on the exit, going into the sand trap, but keeping his car in track. And by the way this is looking, I'm really interested to see how Brent Satch, I'm bringing up the chat once again, what do you think about Brent Satch? The difference of the cars will actually make a performance in that track? Do you think the faster cars will have a better advantage, or more mobile cars will have the better advantage over faster cars? What do you think? Peter?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking the chat. My apologies.
I was asking to you too, and the chat. I was asking both persons. I'm capable of multitasking.
So, for me, I think that we're still going to see roughly the same people up front. I mean, through round 1 and round 2, very different circuits. Monza very fast, very stop-start, especially with the first 2 chicanes. Versus here, much more flowing. Of course, we've got that turn 6 and 7, very flowing set of corners, and then we've got the Schumacher S and the Kumo curve and the bit curve near the end of the lap. Much more flowing this circuit. We've still seen the Finn team and also Talking Door Racing and Speedy Mike Racing at the front of the field. So I think in terms of the front few teams, I think it's going to be very similar. We may see just a different order as we've seen here between round 1 and round 2 of this Race Department GT Championship.
Oh, very well said. I'm thinking about that as well. And one thing, also another aspect of Brent Hatch is that Brent Hatch is a pace track. There's a good mixture between high and medium speed curves. The only curves which are actually slow would be Druids, the Druids Bend, and the left hand here, not the left hand curve that goes into the long straight back section of the track, and the second to last curve. But nevertheless, all the other curves are actually medium to high speed corners, and I don't believe that downforce could be a factor over here. I think the speed could be more of a factor, but nevertheless, I'm really interested to see what the chat is going to bring up really soon. We thank you for those who are viewing our broadcast. If you want to follow up the action, Race Department is the way to go. Reserve slot is always open to Race Department if you want to do in one of the rounds for driving for these teams, go over Racedepartment.com. The map that premium for €10 a year. That's cheap. That's really cheap. Go with me, and I'm Brazilian, and the currency difference is actually really big. But nevertheless, it's really cheap. Go after and grab it. Well, the story of the race thus far is Jared Jajovski with his dominant performance. We are nearly 2 laps to go in this race. One other story which is developing, and it could play off a factor in the final lap, is actually the difference between Stelio Fafgatos and Rami Mattila. It's over 4 seconds. It's actually not 4 seconds, less than 4 seconds. It's 3.2 seconds.
Yeah, it's coming down all the time. It's been up to around 6 or 7 seconds when it was Mannanen in third position, but now Mattila's got in front of his teammate and he's pushing now, and he wants that second position for the team to extend their championship lead in the team's championship.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see because both Tommy and Rami are similar pace, even though the gap is nearly 3 seconds, and I do believe Tommy would have the pace to actually be Stelios, but Rami is on a mission. I don't believe you can actually tell me, Peter, you're watching the lap times right now, but what is the difference between one lap to the other?
It's very consistent by both drivers. They're both lapping in the 54s and the 55s, but we've seen Mattila has been closing that gap, so whether he's got enough laps, I'm not too sure. And we see, I think that's Craig Patterson moving out the way, indeed it is, in the Priority 1 Motorsport car. But if he's got enough laps is to be seen, as we've seen now Jajovski owns his final lap.
As Jajovski opening up his final lap, and he's riding on the back bar really soon enough to Tobias Reuner. That means only 9 cars out of 24 that started, 26 that started in this race are going to be in the lead lap by the way this is going. And I'm really impressed with the driving of the Macedonian, not making any mistakes and showcasing the power of the Ferrari 488 in this track, beating some more fast cars in the Audi and the GT-R. And I'm really interested to see what the Ferrari is going to bring on Brands Hatch. But that will not be brought by me. Actually, next week, I'm driving this car. I'm driving the Nissan. I'm gonna be in track, not in booth. So I'm really interested more than ever to see how this race is gonna pan out. But while Jajovski is cruising around the field, Rami Mattila is just reaching the back bumper of Stelio Fafgatos in the final corners of this race. And now a battle for P2 is brewing up really soon. We might not be able to see this brew up to the final corner of this race, but nevertheless, we have Aaron Jajovski going up safely on the NGK, rounding out to the final turn of this race. And an unexpected win is brewing and is going to happen for Aaron Jajovski. He's going to be a round 2 race winner here at Nürburgring circuit over the Racedepartment GT Championship. Well done. And we have battle for P2. It's not probably going to happen. That means if no drama happens, it could be side to side in the final turn. No, they aren't. That means Stelio Fafgatos is going to be your second place in this race. Rami Mattila, third place. Well done. And now Tommy Mannanen is in fourth place. Jeffrey Tessenois rounding out your field is going to be top 5 for Talking Door Racing. Wow.
Yeah, we saw a lot of drivers getting very close at the end there. Unfortunately for Mattila, not able to quite get past Fafgatos. Nevertheless, a very close finish to what was an exciting race.
Most definitely. We got other drivers running out your field. Well, we got Ricardo Edelman right now going to be your 6th place in this field. Pierre Cavillon, 7th place. Sam Fuller is going to be your 8th place. Once again, good performance by the flying ballers. I have to say that over and over again because the Z4 is not the strongest of cars in this game. Akis Kavrakides is gonna be your 9th place in Nürburgring. He's on the final corner, and Tobias Reuner with a very good performance, grabbing nearly 4 to 5 spots in this race. Is gonna round out your top 10 in Nürburgring. That means a number 5 and a number 10 for Talk Indoor Racing. I'm really interested to see how the points position is going to pan out after this race. Ricardo Humans on the final corner is going to be your 11th spot. Cyril Sasse is going to be 12th. Rick Patterson is going to be 13th. Good job by Priority One Motorsport. Marco Weither is going to be 14th. In Ronnie R, your top 15 is going to be Alan Roloff Groff from Copenhagen Apex. What a race, Peter.
Yeah, action throughout, as to be expected from GT Racing. We saw a lot of action in Monza, and now they've delivered again. These drivers are at the top of their game, and we saw that here. And Jujowski, he was the top class of all of them.
Yes, and Peter, if you could do the honors, take it away. I'm gonna do some job of dragging people and getting them prepared for our interviews.
So to round out our finishes, it was Jujowski who won after the 46 laps from Fevgatos, Matila, Manninen, Tassanoi, Edelman, Cavion, Fuller, Kevrikedis, Rona, Umans, Dorsey, Patterson, Rocha, Roloff Groff, Karlashak, Burry, Trapp, Marshall, and the last finisher was Vasconcelos in the Old Man Racing Nissan GT-R. What was an exciting race, one that probably we didn't expect. We probably expected that both Finn team drivers, as they did in Monza, would clear off at the front, but it was Jujowski who took the honours after the two drivers came together at turn 1, and Jujowski just went away with it from that. Fevgatos, a very good race in the Nissan GT-R, and he came through to get 2nd position. Bartolet was 3rd ahead of his teammate Manninen. Of course, different drivers from the first round, but equally as strong in the Audi R8, obviously showing that despite the drivers, it was easy. It was definitely a good car to go for in the Audi R8.
Most definitely. And now we're going to interviews. So, Peter, pick one and start.
So our first driver that we have on our interviews is Erhan Jujowski. Erhan, very good race from you. Well done. What did you think of the race overall?
Well, firstly, thank you. I don't know what to say. At the start, I thought top 3 was the maximum I can achieve today, but after both of the Finn drivers went wide, I took the lead and controlled the race.
Very well done. Were you surprised by your pace, given that qualifying you qualified 3rd?
No, my pace was as usual. I was actually surprised that both Finn drivers weren't quite fast as I was expected.
Well, congratulations anyway. A great result, and you've definitely moved your team up the rankings. So, Lorenzo, I believe you've got someone else on the line.
Yeah, finally.
Surely. Go ahead.
Finally, I would like to thank you, my guys at the factory. They built an amazing car. That's all.
Most definitely. Well, Aaron Jujowski, congratulations once again. I think I can get enough of you in the broadcasting booth as well. I was saying that to Saki Lepanimi in the last round, and I'm gonna say that to you as well because you think you like to be in the podium booth. But nevertheless, congratulations. And we're going over to our second place. A little bit of a sneaky second place in our initial analysis. Stalio Favgatos is your second place in this race. Stalios, well done. Congratulations. And what you thought about your race? Stalios. I do not believe that Stalio is over here. I think we're gonna get to him afterwards. That might, the emotion of some drivers getting podium places, but nevertheless, well, let's see if we can get him really soon. We're going to our third place, Rami Matila. Rami, congratulations on the third place. Very good recovery race for you, Rami, after your incident in the first lap.
Yeah, thank you. It was a bit of a mistake by me, so I kind of dragged Tommy also out in that and made the race interesting, I have to say.
Well, I think
Hello?
Stalios is back. Yeah, Stalios is back. We'll get it.
Yeah.
Gonna get to Stalios really soon. Once again, so we're just gonna do a little quick question to Rami. Rami, you did a very impressive stint, especially the second stint. Were you concerned the tires were going to last, or do you really think you're gonna get caught up in traffic, not being able to make some moves up in the field?
The traffic was the biggest problem because on the first stint I was almost whole stint behind, Joffrey stuck there, so couldn't do anything. The Nissan has so much acceleration from the corners, so no way past.
Mm-hmm. Well, very well done, Rami. You're getting some very essential points for your team at Team Finn. I can't wait to see if you or Thomas or Sake or the horde of Finnish drivers is going to do in Brent's Hatch. But nevertheless, congratulations on your third place. And now we're going to our sneaky second place. Once again, Stalios, congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you make about this race? That was a sneaky second place from our initial analysis from mine and Peter's. What do you make of your race?
I don't know really. I just did my race as usual. Double softs helped, I think, probably.
Peter, do you got any questions?
Were you surprised by your position? Obviously, during qualifying, we saw both Finn team drivers at the front, whereas the Nissan perhaps not as suited to this circuit. So were you surprised to end up in second position?
During my practice, I was really fast, so no, not really. I don't know. Maybe the track suits me better.
And
Well, very well done, nonetheless.
Thank you.
Well, just to cap it off, one quick question actually. How worn were your tires in the final laps?
Like really, really low. Really, really bad. I think I discovered some new force feedback code in this game. It's called tire thread FFB during braking, maybe. I was getting some weird, FFB during the brake.
Well, nevertheless, I think that new feature you just found managed to get you a second spot and put your team back into contention. Stalios, congratulations once again for your second spot. Peter, do you have any considerations before we close out our broadcast?
Well, I'd just like to say well done to all drivers. Some great racing throughout. We saw a few incidents, but I think that's just part of racing, and they definitely delivered on what was an interesting race.
I wholeheartedly agree with your statement 100%. Well, for Peter Lee, my name is Lorenzo Bonder. In 2 weeks' time, it's going to be Dylan Coyle and Peter Lee once again with Davey Van de Ven on the cameras for Brent's Hatch. I'm going to be out of the track causing shenanigans. I hope not. But nevertheless, for now, stay safe, stay classy, and peace out.
Stay sexy.
Stay sexy.